Retro-futurism looks at how the imagined future would have looked for people before the 1960s. In today's tutorial, I'm gonna show you how you can draw this retro-futuristic design using the iPad and Procreate. You can download the brush set I made especially for this video, along with the other files via the link in the video description below. And if you are ready, let's get started! Before we start drawing, let's create a new project. You can definitely make it your screen size, or if you'd like to post the finished artwork on Instagram, it's better to work on a canvas with the size set to 2000 by 2500 pixels. This ratio is fine. Just don't forget to tag me in your post if you share it. As soon as the canvas is created, we can add the background. To do that, I will go to the color palette, select color number 1 from there, and just drag it on the canvas to fill it. Next, I'd like to add the noise effect to it, and we can do it easily if we go to Adjustments and select Noise feature. Let's slide to the right side and set it to 7%. Then I will switch to Ridges and increase scale. I like this one, so I've set it to 14%, and I will keep the rest settings the same. Now that we have the background, we can start designing. So we need to create a new layer, right above the background. As you might have noticed, the color palette is rather limited today, but due to a variety of the blending modes we are gonna use, we'll get more colors eventually. As for the brushes, I've gone ahead and created a custom brush set specially for this tutorial. It includes 2 main textures with particles that we will use for shading, a paper texture to be applied as an overlay in the end, and a few more elements related to the style. All these resources are free to download in the description below the video. Retro-futuristic design combines retro style and futuristic or sci-fi elements. You could probably see it on retro scientific magazines or posters. So today we will try to recreate something like that. Make sure to watch the video till the end, as I will show you how to export the finished drawing into Adobe Lightroom app and enhance colors to make the design look even more pro. We already have the new layer created, so we can start working. Before we start drawing, I just want to remind you that if you like my YouTube videos, kindly subscribe to my channel, and it really helps reach out to more people when you give my video a like. If you want to see even more content, feel free to check out my Patreon page. I have tons of exclusive tutorials and brush sets there. The link is in the video description. I will go to the brush set and select one of the stamps. In this design, I want to use head silhouette. If you finish this design and want to create your own, I included 2 more figures, so you can also try to use them. The size of the stamp is set to 50%. Now let's change the color, and it can be white. We just need to tap in the center of the canvas, and then we can move it. I will drag it a bit down and watch the edges. I want to keep the same distance on the sides, so I will try to center it like this. Of course, later we can move it again. Actually, we are not going to paint on this head, but still we will use it. So let's do this. Go to the layer and set its opacity to none, so it will disappear from the canvas. Now let's click on the layer and then click Select. So we will get the selection. Just make sure that color fill option is turned off, otherwise it will be filled. Now we can create one more layer above this one and change the color. I will start with color number 2. And also in the brush set, select the first brush with the dispersion. Here I've set the size to 40%, and I will start applying it around the selection. Go down and make it wider. I will make a few more strokes and also go to the left. Outline it on the edge the same way and go down. Let's make it a bit wider here too. I will make a few more strokes. Now we can lower the brush size and work more on the edge to make it opaque. I will do it on the entire shape. And also on the face. After we did that, we can also grab a razor and set it to the same brush. I will just fix it here. Make it a bit more curvy. Alright. Just another stroke. This time with the brush. And now it is fine. I like it. So we can remove the selection for now. And go to change the layer's blending mode. I want to use color dodge. See how the color changed. It looks like illuminated. Now I'd like to add even more colors here. So we can do this. Create another layer above this one. And then clip it. Then I will select color number 3 from the palette. And also in the brushes, go to airbrushing section to select soft brush. We can set the size to around 28% or maybe less and start making strokes on some parts to create the soft gradient. I will also add it on the chin. Try to make the transition gradual. Alright. Now let's create a layer between these two. And select white color from the disk. Here I will switch back to the brush with particles. It is a 39% size. And I will also apply it to add some volume. Also on some parts. I think we can make the size a bit smaller. And work on the edges. This highlight will add dimension. Now let's go down and add it on the neck. Here it will look white. I think we can also add it here to highlight the chin even more. And then this part. Finally, I will apply it on the nose. Just a little bit. Okay, now I think it is enough. Our first shape is ready. We can start adding more. So next let's change the color. And select number 4. We also need to create a new layer. Actually, these 3 can be merged already. And the layer can be added above. I'm going to use selection again. This time in rectangle. Let's start drawing rectangles that will cross the head the following way. I will click color fill here, so it will be filled. Then I will continue drawing them and also try to keep the same thickness and same distance. Just add more rectangles. The last one will go here on the neck. Alright, now we can deselect it and crop them on the sides. To do it easily, let's use selection again. Actually, we will use it today a lot. We have this invisible silhouette, so let's get it selected. But after that, we need to remove color fill and click Invert. This way we will select everything outside it. Now let's go to this layer with rectangles, click on it, and then click Clear. It will be cropped like this. Right now we can set the layers mode to divide, to change the color, and also get the noise texture. This is what we will get. But it's not ready yet. Let's continue working on it. Activate this selection. Go back to the layer with the stripes. Then go to Adjustments and pick Liquify. From the menu, I picked Twirl Left. There is no distortion or momentum. I only set pressure to maximum and the size is at 74%. Let's try to tap somewhere here and see what happens. We can do it one more time. If you don't like it, you can just click Reset and do it again until you like the result. I'm quite satisfied with it, and as you see, due to the selection, our shape doesn't go outside. So it worked quite nice. We can deselect. I will just go and reduce the opacity to 61%. Now let's continue working on the shape and add some highlights. So I will create a layer above it and then clip. Actually, we could use white color to add the highlights. But because the base layer is set to difference, it means like it is inverted. So to add highlights, we actually need to use black. And also dispersion 1 brush. We can see the noise here. So let's set the size to around 25% and start adding highlights here and there. I will also add it on this one. And on some other shapes. So it will look like metallic. Let's highlight a few more parts. Also this one. And this collar that appeared on the neck. Now let's make the size even smaller. And highlight some edges. This way we will add some volume to it. We can set it to around 9%. And continue doing it. We don't have outlined the entire shape. Just add a few lines. So it'll work as a highlight. And as I said, our shape will get volume. Let me highlight this one. Of course, your shape looks different, so you need to do it on your own and decide where to put the highlights. I will highlight this part. And then also here. Just a couple of more lines. And now I think it is enough. Just the last one. Alright. Now that the shape is ready, let's add even more colors to it. But before that, Let's remove the shape from the particles. So I will go to the layer that is set to color dodge. By the way, this is how it looks without the outlines. This time I will get this layer selected. No color fill option. Now let's go to this layer with our lines and click clear. So it will be deducted from the particles. And I think it looks better this way. Now let's create a layer above this one and then clip it. From the color palette I will select color number 5. And we have this brush already selected. Let's just increase the size. Let's also set this lace mode to pin light. And start making strokes to introduce one more color. Alright, now this is also done. Let's keep all these layers and add one more element. Actually, instead of this shape, you can add something else. Can be space, planets, galaxies, or even something else. To draw more shapes, let me create one more layer. And as the base color, let's select number 1. This time I'm going to use monoline from calligraphy. Let me find it. And in my brush, in properties, I've set minimum size to none. So you can do the same if you want your brush to work exactly same as mine. Here let's set the size to 43% and draw 2 ellipses, each on a separate layer. To see them better, we can reduce the opacity of the background. I will draw the first ellipse. Let's wait a second until it gets perfect. Now we can adjust it. Let's also click Edit Shape and adjust the location. And also the size. We need to keep some space for the frame. So let's not make it too big. I will drag it a bit upper and make it more narrow. Like this, I think. Now let's create another layer above it and draw another oval. I think they look like orbits. Let's make this one a bit smaller. We also need to wait a second and then we can edit the shape. Let's also move it. We can change the angle. And place it somewhere here. Alright, before we get confused, let's erase the unnecessary lines. On this one, I will erase it behind the head. Instead of using eraser, let's use selection again. Just switch to freehand mode and outline the part that we want to remove. It goes to this side. Then we need to close the selection, tap on it, swipe 3 fingers down and cut. Now let's go to the other layer and remove this part. I will also use selection. Just outline it. Go to this side. Outline this part. And then connect it. Let's tap here. Then also swipe 3 fingers down and cut. Now it looks much better. We can proceed to shading. Maybe we can already bring back the background. They're slightly visible. And I will start with layer number 8. Let me just create another layer above it. And then I will also clip it. I will start adding the highlights using color number 5. Let's select the first brush with dispersion. Lower the brush size a little bit. I will set it to 34% and start making strokes. For the highlights, I will skip some distance from here to make it look like shadow. Also here. And then highlight it on the right. I will also make it dark on this part to keep the shadow effect. Now let's select white color. Maybe make the size a bit smaller and add even more highlights on the same yellow parts. Let me highlight it here and then here. Now we can lower the size even more and work on the edges to add volume here as well. But the size needs to be low because the shape is narrow. I will highlight it on top. We can also skip some parts. I will apply it on this edge. And here at the bottom. Alright, the first shape is ready. Let's merge these two layers and go to the next one that is located below. I will also create a layer above it and add a clipping mask. Let's also start with yellow color number 5. I will increase the size a little and add the highlights. On the intersection, I will keep it dark, so it will also look like shadow. Let's set the size to 34% as it was and start highlighting. I will also add it here and keep it dark, very close to the head. Let's add another highlight here on this side. And if we press more, the color will get brighter. I will just add another stroke on this part. Now we can select white color again and add more highlights on the same yellow parts. On this one, then also here, on the big part, and finally on this side. Now let's also make the size smaller to highlight the edges. Here I will add it at the bottom. And then on top. Of course, you can rotate the canvas to feel more comfortable while drawing. I will add another highlight here. And the shape will get volume as well. Let's finish it. And then highlight this side. Okay, I think this one is ready too. Of course, if you like, you can add planets on the orbits, but I will keep it. Let's also merge these two layers and then create another one. I will put it under this layer, so we can add more shapes. I will select monoline from recent brushes and draw a circle around the head. We can tap on the canvas to make it perfect, and then adjust the size. Let's also fill it. Now I will lower the opacity of the circle and adjust its location, and also the size. Let's put it somewhere here. Now I will set the opacity to none, so we can use it for the selection. Let's tap on it and then click Select. We will get this perfect circular selection, so we can use it. Please also don't forget to remove color fill if it is on. We can now create another layer and select color number 5. Let's also pick dispersion 1 and set the size to 40%. We can now start making strokes inside the selection. Go to the right side and at some parts make it wider. Here I will make it more narrow and then wider again. It will end here close to the neck. Now that we have this sphere, we can lower the brush size and also work on the edges to make them opaque. Also on this one. And now that it is ready, we can remove the selection and actually delete the circle. To change the color, let's play around with blending modes. I will also set it to color dodge, so it'll look like this. And now we can add even more colors to it. So I will select number 4. We can now alpha lock the layer and select soft brush. Just paint on some areas, so the color will change. I will also add it on this side. And now it is ready. We can create one more layer. Change the color to number 2 from the palette and select monoline again. This time I will set it to 15%. And before we start drawing the lines, go to Actions, Canvas, and activate Drawing Guide. Then click Edit Drawing Guide and use it in 2D grid. Just to make the grid more visible, we can change the color. I will also change the grid size to 35 pixels. Then click Done. Let's also make sure that the layer is assisted. And now we can start drawing these lines. Without applying any effort. I will just make them a bit longer. And use these squares as a guide. 7 lines will be enough, so I'm drawing the last one. We can now remove the drawing guide and also assisted drawing from here. Just grab a razor, and I'd like to set it to medium hard airbrush from airbrushing section. Here the size is set to 6%, and I will erase it on the sides to make it look like the continuation of the image. Now let's do the same on the left. It'll go as a line. Let's also erase it. Now I will alpha lock the layer. Let's grab the first color and also dispersion brush. Its size is at 31% or 35. I will just make a few strokes in the center. This way. Now let's activate this selection of the head. Create another layer. Can be located right here. Then I will select white color and set the layers mode to soft light, so it won't look white. We just need to change the brush to another one that also has particles, but they are much smaller. Let me increase the size to 37% and start making strokes going up inside the selection. It'll look like snow. Here at the bottom I will press more. Okay, now I think it is enough. So we will get even more texture. This is also done. Let's start working on the surrounding and add a few more elements on the background. So we need to create a new layer to draw a simple planet. Let's lower the opacity of the background layer so we can select background color and use it. It will be still visible. To draw a simple planet, let's select monoline brush from recent brushes and draw a circle in the space. Let's tap on the canvas to make it perfect, and after that we can scale it. Then fill. And now I will move it a bit to the left. Make it a bit smaller, so it'll match with this side. Alright. Now let's bring back the opacity of the background. Go to the layer with the circle and create another one above it. Then I will clip it. Let's apply all these colors starting from 6 until 9. And this time for shading I'm going to use dispersion 2. Set the size to 54% and apply it on the entire circle. It will be barely visible, but believe me, it'll get better after we apply more colors. So let's switch to the next one. It'll be number 7. And this time I will apply it slightly higher, making strokes like this around the circle. Let's press more here on the edge. And now we can select next color, number 8. Make more strokes that will go even higher. We can make a stroke going down, just to blend the colors. And in the end select color number 9. Now work more on the edge. I will also make a stroke somewhere in the middle. And then make strokes like this, to add a sort of a highlight. We can now switch to another brush with particles. Here the size is set to 26% and work more on the edge. To add a highlight. Let's also go a little down for the volume. Now I will go to the left side. Maybe increase the size a little bit to blend the particles together. And continue making strokes going down on the left edge. Let's check it out. I will switch again to the previous brush and highlight the left side a bit more. Alright, now I think it is ready. Let's adjust the colors. So we can merge these two layers. Go to Adjustments and use Hue Saturation Brightness. I will play around with hue. Set it to 54%. Now let's duplicate this layer to add some glow around the planet. So I will go to the layer that is below, then alpha lock the layer. Select color number 7. Go back to the layer and fill it. Now we need to unlock it and change the lace blending mode right away. I will set it to color dodge again. So now if we apply Gaussian blur on it, it will start glowing. And we will also see the noise texture. Let's set Gaussian blur to 18%. Now let's duplicate this layer with the planet once again. I will also alpha lock it, and this time recolor it into color number 1. Exactly same way. Let's also set it to color dodge. Then click on the arrow and move it a bit like this. Now it is totally ready. Let's add another shape. But before I forget, let's also add some glow around the head. To do it easily, let's use this layer that we created for the selection. I will duplicate it just in case and keep one of them. Let's make this one opaque and then recolor it. I will grab color number 5 from the palette and we can just drag it on the shape. After that, apply Gaussian blur at around 16 or 17%. Now we need to remove it from inside the head, and it is also very easy to do. Let's activate our selection. Then go to this blurry layer, click on it, and after that click Clear in the menu. Let's also change the lace blending mode into Divide. And I think we can remove this part at the bottom. The easiest way to do that is to use Selection, and since we have a straight line, we can use Rectangle. We just need to outline it here, try to match it with the edge, then swipe 3 fingers down and click Cut. Now that it is ready, we can draw another planet. So I'll go ahead and create one more layer. Can be located above this one. Let's lower the opacity of the background again. Select background color. Go to the new layer and draw another circle, but this time I will make it smaller. So let's select monoline brush and draw a circle here. We also need to make it perfect, and then we can resize it. After that, I will drag the color inside. Let me move it a little bit and put it closer to the shapes. Now let's bring back the opacity of the background and create a layer above the circle. Then we need to clip it to keep all the textures inside. Here I want to apply a few colors. And I want to start with color number 10. On this part I want to use dispersion 1. Set the size to around 25% and apply it here. At the lower side, also go a little up. After that I will change the color to number 2 and make strokes on the opposite side of the circle. Go slightly inwards and to the right. We can blend these two colors. And after that, select color number 5. Add it on the left. If you like, you can use some other color combinations. In the end, I will just apply white for another highlight. This time I will place it at the bottom, so it will go up like this. Let's have a look at it. And I think it also got some dimension. So we can merge these two layers. And after that, add some glow around the circle. So I will duplicate it, go to this one, and recolor it. So we need to add alpha lock to the layer. And this time I will select color number 10. Let's click Fill Layer. And after that, unlock it. Apply Gaussian blur. Let's set the amount to around 8 or 9%. And in the layers, set it to divide. This is how it will look now. Instead of drawing another similar shape, we can group these two layers and then duplicate the group. Let's move one of them to the left side and a little upper. I will also make it smaller, at around this size. Now let's open the group and go to the layer with the planet. I just want to adjust the colors. For that we can use hue saturation brightness again. I will set hue to 3% and saturation to 28%. We can also rotate it to make another side highlighted. Okay, now this one is also ready. Before we add some smaller elements, I think we can add the frame. Of course, a new layer needs to be created. And I will place it above the background. As the base color for it, let's use color number 2. Pick monoline and make it the same thickness as these lines. It was 15%. I will draw the first vertical line that will go like this. Let me tap on the canvas to make it go strictly vertical. After that, I will draw a horizontal line, starting from this corner and going to the right. We can also tap on the canvas. It is matching perfectly, so I will just duplicate the layer, click on the arrow, and flip this one both horizontal and vertical. We may need to move it a little to match all the corners, and then deselect. Let's now merge these two layers and alpha lock the layer. I will grab color number 5 from the palette and also dispersion 2. Apply it on the sides. Also, to make it faster, let's switch to dispersion 1. Now I will paint on the left side. And it is ready. Let me just select all the layers, excluding the frame, and move it a bit down to have more space on top. Okay, now it is better. I will just make a couple of rearrangements. Moving the circle a bit to the right. Yes, that's better now. Let's tap and hold to switch to the previous color. and then create another layer under the frame. Here I want to use a drawing guide. So to activate it, let me go to Actions and enable Drawing Guide. But we need to edit it. This time I want to use Perspective. And tap in the middle of the canvas. I will activate Assisted Drawing right away. And now we can use it. Let's select Monoline brush and use it with the same size. I will first draw a line in the center and then continue drawing according to the grid. Let me draw the last one here and then do the same on the left. Unfortunately, we can't use symmetry and perspective at the same time, so we need to choose. But anyway, it is very easy. Now that we made these lines, let's remove the grid. Then I will also pick background color, alpha lock this layer, and remove assisted drawing. Let's select dispersion 1 from the set. The size is set to around 31%, and I will make strokes at the bottom, just to add this shadow. Maybe the size can be a bit bigger, so we can see the particles better. Just a few more strokes. And maybe now we can move this planet. It's this one. I just want to put it on the line. Like this. Now the drawing is almost ready. We can add some smaller elements to finish the design. Let me just create a layer above the frame and select color number 5. I will go back to Monoline brush and increase the size. We can set it to 80% and just tap on the frame. Maybe we can make it full size even. Let me tap here and make sure it is centered. Then I will tap on the opposite side, a little higher than this planet. Let me also move this one. So we need to outline it first. And it is ready. Now we can pick blue color and add another circle somewhere here, on the blue color. Let me also move it. And it is done. But I want to add a few smaller shapes again. So let me create one more layer and set it to color dodge. Let me first select color number 5 and tap somewhere here with the same brush. Now we can try to add some more shapes. I'll be using this circle. It has 2 colors. So before using it, let's go to Actions, Prefs, and make sure the dynamic brush scaling is turned on. It applies to all my 2 color stamps, so please keep that in mind. Now that we selected the brush, we need to pick 2 colors. One of them can be this orange, and the second one will be number 2. I will adjust the brush size and try to tap somewhere, so it'll have 2 colors. Now I will go back to Monoline. I will use this bluish color and tap inside the circle. I want to try some of these shapes, for example Sci-Fi equalizer. And for this one, I will select color number 8, or can be 7. Let me just make a new layer under this one and adjust the size. We can tap on the canvas and then move it. If you want to add more colors to it, just alpha lock the layer and apply it using soft brush. but I will keep it like this. Just don't want to spend too much time on it. Let's consider the design ready, but in the end, I want to apply a paper overlay. To do that, let me create a layer on top of all layers and set it to overlay mode. From the color disk, I will pick white color and select paper texture from the set. It's called recycled paper. We just need to apply it on the entire canvas. And this is what we will get. As I promised in the beginning of the video, I will show you how to export it to Adobe Lightroom app and enhance the colors. So first we need to save it. I will click Share, PNG, and save it to Files. Let me call it Futuristic. Save. Now let's open Adobe Lightroom app and import the file. Now we can select it and go to Profile. There are a few categories. For this particular drawing, you can use Artistic, number 1, or go to Modern. Pick the first option. You can also adjust it to make it more or less intense, or use number 7 from the same category. Of course, it is unlimited. You can try some others from Vintage and see which one you like the most. After this final step, our retro-futuristic design is complete. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. For more tutorials and brush sets, please check out my Patreon page. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.